What could possibly go wrong when a group decides to block a road to protest something? Well, these are moments when drivers weren't having it and decided to plow through the protest instead. Check out this situation in Brazil, where education workers were holding a small demonstration demanding better working conditions. A driver trying to get his dog to the vet was blocked by the protesters. After they refused to let him pass, he didn't think twice. He pushed through the crowd with his car, hitting one of the protesters. Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt. In another case, also in Brazil, a large political protest was going on, but one driver wasn't having it. He drove straight through the barricade in his white car. While nobody was injured, the crowd got angry and partially wrecked the vehicle in response. Now take a look at this guy. Clearly frustrated after being stuck in a protest. He's in a hurry, so he just hits the gas and drives right into the crowd. But despite breaking through, he didn't get far. Just a few feet down the road, the police stopped him. And this scene? It's not just one blockade, it's several. Truck drivers went on strike and shut down major roads, completely stopping traffic. That's when a hardcore soccer fan group decided to step in. Seeing that the police weren't handling it, they took matters into their own hands. Known as the blockade busters, they jumped in to clear the roads and get traffic moving again. Ever heard of a one-man protest? Well, here's a perfect example. After a protest had already dispersed, this lone demonstrator decided it would be a good idea to kick a parked car as a form of protest. The driver didn't even have to do anything. The protester ended up hurting himself and limping away with a sore knee. Smooth move. Now we have to mention an iconic case from Brazil, famously known as the Truck Patriot. During yet another political protest, a man and his group tried to block a truck from passing. But let's just say things didn't go according to plan. The truck driver kept going, with the protester clinging to the windshield. The driver actually stopped and asked him to get off, but the guy refused. So they ended up going on a little road trip together. After a few kilometers, the man finally jumped down, completely unharmed. He even gave interviews later to talk about what happened. Of course, we can't leave out Just Stop Oil, a group known for protests around the world. In this case, a small group blocked traffic to speak out against the oil industry. A local woman, clearly frustrated by the rush hour chaos, tried to help by tossing a bucket of water on them, but the protesters didn't budge. Later, a driver tried to reason with them. No luck. Eventually, another driver, tired of waiting, calmly drove through the blockade without hurting anyone. In a separate protest from the same group, some activists tried to stop a bus, but the driver kept moving slowly, forcing the crowd to move aside without causing any harm. Protest over, bus still on schedule.
Everyone sit down!
In London, a biker in a hurry wasn't having it. He went right through another Just Stop Oil blockade. The group tried to stop him, but he slipped past them like it was no big deal and kept on riding as if nothing had happened. Political protests really are everywhere. In the US, a major demonstration blocked off a road, but one pickup driver wasn't about to wait around. He pushed through the crowd and even sprayed something at the protesters. No one got seriously hurt, but I'm guessing a few people were left with stinging eyes for a while. Over in Germany, a truck driver completely lost his patience and started moving protesters out of the way with his own hands. And honestly, that kind of thing seems to happen a lot. In another clip, a woman, clearly fed up, picked up two protesters blocking her car and dragged them onto the sidewalk so traffic could move. Talk about strength and guts. Up in northern Brazil, we saw another situation kind of like the Truck Patriot moment. A woman refused to move out of the way during a protest and ended up being carried several feet on the hood of a car. Thankfully, she was fine, but hopefully she learned that standing in front of traffic might not be the best plan. One thing we've definitely learned from this video: never, ever mess with truck drivers while they're working. This guy cleared the protesters out of his way and didn't even glance back. Now, check out this brilliant idea: organizing a protest on a hill. Yeah, a group of protesters decided to block a road on a slope, but that just made it easier for the driver to roll right through. He did bump into a few people, but thankfully no one was seriously hurt. In this next one, the protesters didn't exactly think things through. They blocked the road, but forgot all about the left lane, which was wide open. So yeah, the driver just swerved around and got through easily. Genius planning, right? Now pay close attention to what's coming. At first, this driver looks totally chill, just waiting patiently behind the protest. He sits there for a few minutes, doesn't say a word, but then he clearly has a change of heart. Fed up, he floors it and breaks through the blockade, nearly hitting someone in the process. Hey, patience has its limits. And speaking of wild moments, you've gotta see this. A guy dressed as an alien busting through a federal highway police barricade. Yep, you heard that right. Finally, here's a clip from a dash cam showing a protester standing directly in front of a truck trying to stop it. But the driver doesn't back down and starts moving forward. The protester quickly realizes this isn't a good idea and steps aside just in time. That was a close one. It's not just truckers and car drivers who plow through protests. In this clip, we've got a massive RV rolling straight toward a crowd of demonstrators. Even with all the chaos and people running everywhere, luckily no one got hurt. Now here's a scene from the US, where protesters were trying to block access to a gas station. They formed a long human chain to stop vehicles from getting through, but this driver wasn't having it. He pushed forward with his pickup truck, and even though the protesters refused to move at first, the police eventually showed up, and after a few tense minutes, the guy was able to continue on safely. And just when you think you've seen it all, protesters show up to prove you wrong. Check out this wild scene where demonstrators in Germany stormed a racetrack to stop a car race. But get this, their protest was against wasting natural resources like gas and diesel for sports. Except this race was with electric cars. I mean, that makes no sense to me. What about you?
People's point of view, the cars are fine. They're just sitting there energized.
Over in Chicago, things got real hectic. The driver pulled what looked like a human bowling strike. People flying onto the grass, bikes in the air, shouting, and a total scramble. And speaking of bikes, take a look at this next moment when a bus driver breaks through a blockade by rolling over a bunch of bicycles. Thankfully, no cyclists were on them, just a lot of bent wheels and a big repair bill. In some cases, when things get really out of hand, authorities bring out the big guns. Literally, water cannons with high-pressure jets are often used to clear the roads and get traffic moving again. And what happens when even the police run out of patience with protesters? We all know how tough their job is. They've got to move fast to respond to emergencies and save lives. But what are they supposed to do when protesters are blocking the road? People holding up signs and shouting slogans in every direction, totally unaware, or just ignoring the fact that they might be stopping someone from getting the help they need. In this case, the cops didn't wait around. They just went straight through the crowd so they could get back to work. Now check this out. Total chaos broke out on a highway in Minneapolis when an impatient older driver tried to break through a protest. When the crowd blocked his way, he pulled out a sharp object, looked like a pocket knife, and started walking toward the protesters. People quickly backed off, and one guy with a megaphone shouted for everyone to clear a path. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened. The man stormed through and drove off. Now, this next one isn't technically a protest, just two clueless people standing in the middle of a crosswalk while emergency vehicles are trying to get through. Look at these two clowns. The guy refuses to move, but the driver of a black car finds a way around. And just when you think it's over, the protester fakes getting hit even though it's obvious nothing happened. Then there's another driver who actually tries to reason with the group, gives a heads up that he's gonna move forward. No one listens, so he just goes for it. And yep, blockade cleared. In this scene, we see a driver who's clearly lost his patience, but at the same time, he doesn't want to hurt anyone, so he gets out of the car and clears the road himself so he can move on. Then there's this guy who deserves an Oscar for his performance. The police are trying to clear the road when a protester puts on a whole show pretending to be hurt. He wants people to think a cop injured his hand, but it's obvious nothing happened. He just wanted an excuse to accuse the officer of misconduct. Of course, not every driver is in the right. In this case from Brazil, a man tries to drive through a protest, gets booed by the crowd, and loses it, suddenly charging forward with his car. Still in Brazil, during a time of intense political protests, another driver pushed through a crowd, lightly injuring 15 people in the process. Now this next clip. Honestly, I thought it was a genius way to deal with protesters without hurting anyone. Super quick and effective. During a general strike, a group of people decided to shut down a major highway, but they didn't count on this particular driver who wasn't having it. Worried his car might get trashed, he plowed through the blockade, only to be stopped by the police a few kilometers down the road. And let's not forget, drinking and driving is never a good combo. In this case, a drunk driver tried to run over protesters, but thankfully, the police acted fast and stopped what could have been a real tragedy. If you drink, don't drive. So far, we've seen plenty of moments where the police stepped in and protected lives. But what happens when the roles suddenly reverse? According to the protesters in this video, everything had been peaceful. Emergency vehicles weren't being blocked, and the police were escorting the demonstration without issues. But at some point, officers started losing their patience. They reportedly told drivers to go right through the human blockade, even if people were still in the way. Protesters quickly formed a human chain, but it didn't hold. To avoid a full-on tragedy, the crowd eventually gave up and scattered. Now, not every driver pushing through a protest is doing it on purpose. In these images, you can see a truck that couldn't stop in time and accidentally drove through a demonstration on the road, all because it had just been hit by a tow truck. But seriously, what makes someone risk their life and interfere with people just trying to do their jobs? Look at this guy hanging onto the side of a moving truck, trying to stop it from driving through the protest. Other truckers who also tried to get through ended up having their vehicles hit with rocks. Who doesn't know the famous Coca-Cola truck? That shiny red rig all lit up with Christmas lights, bringing holiday cheer to adults and kids across Brazil every December. But in 2023, political protesters actually tried to block it during a demonstration. I mean, seriously? Not even Christmas is safe anymore? At this protest, they only let through the truck from a famous beer brand. I guess we all have our priorities, right? Now, Not every driver manages to get past a protest. This one actually did, but ended up being chased down by a group of angry demonstrators.